Hello, my artist friends. Thank you for drawing with me today. I'm Aunt Dewey, and this is Imagination Draw Along. Today, I want to draw a firefighter and all of his protective clothing. We'll draw him next to a fire hydrant and holding a hose squirting out water. And while we draw him, we'll talk about what all of these different protective items do to help him. Ready to draw? Today, I'm mostly using pencil and a little bit of red and yellow crayon. Of course, it's always up to you how you do your drawing. The first thing I'm going to draw on my firefighter to get myself started is I'm going to draw their head. My firefighter's going to take up a lot of my paper today, so I'm going to draw him as big as I want. So I'll start with just a regular round head, and I'll draw my firefighter's eyes in the middle of his face and his nose. And I'm going to think about how a firefighter would feel when he is helping people and rescuing people. If I were a firefighter, I think I would feel a mixture of happy and proud and brave, because helping people can make you very happy, but being around fire can be a little scary. But this firefighter is very well trained to do his job, so he's nice and brave. So I'll draw a light smile, not too big, just proud. Before I draw hair on my firefighter's head, it's okay if you have already, but before I draw hair, I'm going to draw my firefighter's helmet. This is one of the first pieces that protects them, and it's very important. The firefighter's helmet is probably a little similar to a helmet that you wear on your bicycle or your scooter. So we'll start with that basic shape, that round shell on top of the head. But firefighters also have protective visors on both sides, the front and the back of the helmet. By visor, I mean the part of the helmet that sticks out a little bit, like the way a baseball cap has a bill in the front, like a duck. So I'm drawing this extra protection in the front of the helmet and an extra visor in the back of the helmet. And this helps protect the firefighter from having any debris fall on him. Now underneath the helmet, I'll draw a little bit of hair sticking out. And I know I keep calling my firefighter a he, and that's because one of my friends is a firefighter, and I suppose I'm thinking of him. But if you want your firefighter to be a girl, that is way cool, because girls can fight fires too, of course. But when you're drawing their hair, remember they've got to keep it tucked in a little bit to keep them safe. So we'll draw a little bit of hair, and we'll know that the rest of it, whether they're a boy or a girl, is tucked up into their helmet, because that's part of what keeps them safe. Next, I'm going to draw the firefighter's body, which means I'm going to draw their protective coat, pants, gloves, and boots. First, I'll draw their big coat. So I'll draw my firefighter's arms wearing a very thick coat that protects them from fire or any cuts and scrapes they might get while they're trying to help somebody. And one thing I'll draw on their coat is stripes across the front and the arms. And these stripes are going to be bright yellow, or they can be orange or white, but these stripes are special reflective stripes, meaning that if a firefighter is trying to help somebody in the dark or in a fire, they'll be able to see him because he's wearing these stripes on his coat that's almost like glow in the dark, but it's just reflecting any light. Flashlight, firelight, moonlight, any type of light will be reflected on his jacket so that you'll be able to see this firefighter. And then I'll draw some big heavy buttons down the front. Firefighters keep their coats buttoned, even though it's very hot, while they're helping people. And that's because it helps protect them. Next, I will draw his very big pants. So a firefighter's pants are big and thick, almost like snow pants or ski pants. Or if you can picture yourself wearing 5 pairs of pants at one time. Those are pretty thick pants, and they protect his legs. And they have the same reflective stripes. Next, I'm going to draw the firefighter's gloves. The firefighter keeps gloves on to protect his hands from anything he might not realize is hot. These gloves are almost like oven mitts, nice and thick to protect. So I'll draw those nice and thick. And then I'll also draw my fireman's very big boots. He wears protective boots, and his boots are waterproof. You might wonder, if the firefighter is working with fire, why are his boots waterproof? That's because he might be spraying a hose to put out the fire. So even though firefighters deal with a lot of fire, they also deal with tons of water because that's what helps them fight the fire. So as you're finishing up your firefighter with his protective clothing or her protective clothing, I want to start thinking about where I'm going to place my fire hydrant. I think I'll put my fire hydrant just a little bit to the side of my firefighter or a little bit behind him. And I'm going to draw my fire hydrant to be bright red so that it's easy to see, although I've seen them in lots of colors like yellow and white and even striped like a flag. And my fire hydrant is kind of shaped like a cylinder with a little bit of a point at the top. And very importantly, on the sides, it has a water spout. And I'm going to draw that water spout so that I have a place to put the hose that I'm going to draw, so that the firefighter has a place to attach the hose and blast some water. And you can add as many details to your fire hydrant as you please. As always, it's your artist's choice what these things look like. And I've got my water spout, so the next thing I'm going to add is my fire hose. And I'm excited to draw this part because when I draw a fire hose, it almost looks like a winding snake going from the fire hydrant over to my firefighter. So I'll use 2 lines to represent the edges of the hose. And I am drifting my hose all around the paper. Getting a little silly with this one. And then I want the end of the hose to land next to my firefighter's hand. Now, I'm having a hard time making it look like he is holding the hose because I drew his gloves so big and black and thick. So I'll draw the hose right next to his hand, and I think that is going to be good enough. And when I'm looking at my firefighter, I know that with all these big clothes and his helmet, and sometimes a firefighter will be wearing an oxygen tank, if you see a firefighter, they can sometimes look a little bit scary because they're so big and they're covering their face. But remember, they're just protecting themselves so that they can do a really good job protecting you. So if there's ever a firefighter in your home or in your school, you can go to them. They're trying to help you out. And you can add as many details to your fire hydrant as you please. As always, it's your artist's choice what these things look like. And I've got my water spout, so the next thing I'm gonna add is my fire hose. And I'm excited to draw this part because when I draw a fire hose, it almost looks like a winding snake going from the fire hydrant over to my firefighter. So I'll use 2 lines to represent the edges of the hose. And I am drifting my hose all around the paper, getting a little silly with this one. And then I want the end of the hose to land next to my firefighter's hand. Now, I'm having a hard time making it look like he is holding the hose because I drew his gloves so big and black and thick. So I'll draw the hose right next to his hand, and I think that is going to be good enough. My imagination will know exactly what he's doing. And when you've got your hose and you've got a little spout at the end, next I'm gonna draw my hose spraying a whole bunch of water because he's practicing putting out fires. So I'm gonna make that hose shoot some water out nice and far. Maybe your water is arching out like a bridge, or maybe it's splashing right down into the ground. It is totally up to you. Take a look at your paper and what you've drawn so far, and go ahead and fill in any details you think might be missing, or anything you wanted to go back to. You can take as much time as you need to make your picture the way you imagined it. And when you feel like you're all done, be sure to write your name on the bottom corner of your paper. Or write your best first initial or any little scribble that lets you know that this is your picture and you are proud that you took the time to draw it. Until we draw together next time, I have some ideas that your imagination can wonder about. How does a firefighter learn how to fight fires? If there was an emergency in your house, what's your escape plan? What's your backup escape plan? If you're not sure, be sure to ask an adult in your house. They'll tell you. What can you do to prevent fires from happening when they shouldn't? Thank you for drawing with me today. I hope we draw together again soon.